everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about minimalism and witchcraft, and this is a video I've been thinking about for a while but I haven't made a video plan of, so I'm just going to be talking completely off the cuff. It's just going to be completely random with all the thoughts that I have whilst filming. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I've always wanted to do this topic because I find minimalism as a concept extremely interesting and something that is also extremely controversial, and it depends on how you interpret this term as to how far you go with it. So the term minimalist refers to someone who stereotypically only possesses items that are absolutely necessary for their survival. So this is like an extreme minimalist. Some minimalists might still have items that aren't necessary for survival, but there is kind of this whole like idea around it where you only own the things that are absolutely necessary, and there is this really popular documentary that came out a couple years ago to do with these two guys who wrote this book about minimalism, and they are doing like this documentary about it, and they talk about a lot of concepts which are really interesting to think about. But in this video we're going to be talking about why they might not be suitable for everyone, and also why you shouldn't adopt minimalism too much into your magical practice, but it is also something that is extremely important to be mindful of so that you don't have loads of magical tools that you don't need or don't use. So in the documentary they talk about a lot of interesting things, such as how we tend to keep on to items because we feel like our memories are stored in our stuff, so we have a lot of items in our homes that we don't actually need and we don't actually use, but because they have like this really strong memory, they remind us of another time. They might be really nostalgic, remind us of our childhoods or like really nice points in our lives. We feel like we have to keep them to keep these memories, but they say that memories are in our minds, and we don't need to keep on to our stuff to remember our memories. But many people will argue, and I am probably one of them, that sometimes these items help you to spark memories. So it is really nice to keep hold of an item and look at it, and it reminds you of everything that you experienced when you owned it or when you used it, and that is a really beautiful thing. And sometimes we need the trigger of this item to remind us of those memories, and sometimes even just taking a picture of the item and throwing it away and then looking at the picture isn't enough, because as humans we have like this attachment to items, like they are like part of our culture now, that we have items. So this whole documentary is about breaking this culture that we don't need all of these things, but often the items that we do have that might not be necessary are part of our identities. Like if I look around myself now, like it is not absolutely necessary that I keep hold of this oil burner that I don't use, but I feel like it is a really, actually no, I really don't want that oil burner anymore. I might be putting it on vintage. But items such as, I don't actually know. Oh yeah, this yesterday, I was thinking, do I throw it out or do I not? This is a fake candle, and I love fake candles, and I put them in these really cool candle holders. See, this isn't necessary to live, but it reminds me of my identity, and it is nice to have decorated houses. Many people don't like the minimalist aesthetic. It is kind of creepy. This doesn't work anymore because it is really old. It was like the Christmas before the pandemic that I got this from Guide Camp. We turned them into snowmen, like drawing on them. So I could like throw this out, but I know I could replace it. I could put batteries in it and use it again. So I don't have to buy another pack of reusable like electronic tea lights. I could use the ones I already have, and that's another huge argument with this whole minimalism movement. We have a lot of items that aren't useful to anyone else. Like, if I went and tried to get rid of this, like, there might be a market for it online, like someone might buy it as like a spell bottle, but a lot of items that we have that are really valuable to us, they don't have lots of resale value. So there's not much point trying to get rid of stuff if we really, really, really love them, because there's no one else that really, really wants them, and it contributes to the whole global warming, climate change. So if we get rid of loads and loads of our items that you can't recycle, you can't sell, we just put loads of stuff in landfill, then that isn't really very sustainable for the planet when it's an item that we might actually want. But minimalism isn't always about getting rid of all of the stuff that isn't necessary, but sometimes it can make people think it is, because sometimes the branding and the marketing around the whole minimalism movement and the whole of the way they talk about it, sometimes it comes across in a way that isn't completely true. So people interpret it as they need no stuff, so people get rid of stuff that they actually want to keep, which is really, really sad. But yes, now let's talk about witchcraft. So in my practice, in the last year, I have really accumulated a lot more items than I had before, and I try and only buy items that I absolutely could not live without. Like, I really, really love them. Like, when I was on holiday, I bought this little mini vase thing, and it's not necessary, and it was €10 I could have spent on something else, but I absolutely loved it, and I knew that this was a piece that I wanted to keep forever, and it's so beautiful. It's great for altar setups and everything, but I guess it's not absolutely necessary, but it is a really nice thing to have in my practice. It is crystal, and it is really pretty to just have on the side. So I think it's important in your witchcraft practice not to be completely minimalistic, where you only have like the basic things, like you only have like the odd candle and the odd herb that you are definitely going to use, but to also have a few items that really, really encapsulate your practice and that remind you of being a witch, that feel really, really special to you, because you have so much left of your path in your witchcraft journey left to collect more items. So if there's items that you like that you know you're going to see again, or you can just buy online, it is a good idea to just add them to a wish list and just think about getting them later. Like with the Maiden Mother crone chalices, I absolutely love mine, and one day I would love to get the mother one and the crone one when the time is right, when I'm in those phases of my life, but I don't need to collect all of them now. It's really nice to have just the one that is really important to me now. You don't have to collect certain things. You don't have to have all of the candle colours. Just have what you need when you need it. And if you don't use it anymore and you feel guilty about keeping it, then there is a place online. You can go on like Vinted and sell stuff that you don't need anymore. So yeah, there is so many people who sell witchcraft items on Vinted, myself included at the moment. I'm currently selling off a load of my essential oils that I don't use. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the link in the description if you want to buy some of my essential oils that I don't use anymore. But there are so many people on Vinted who are interested in buying secondhand witchcraft books, who are interested in buying small magical tools that have been well looked after. So if you have some items that you don't feel like you want anymore and you don't have anyone to give them to, you can sell them online. It is really, really easy to do so, especially with like Vinted. They don't have any selling fees, so you just take a picture of it and then someone can buy it. So it's really, really simple. I love Vinted so much. Obviously this video isn't sponsored by Vinted. I wish it was, but they are great to get some money back on things that you don't use anymore. So yes. Next, let's talk about oracle decks and tarot decks. Now, I touched on this a little bit in my Sea Soul Oracle Journeys card video. So I talked about how I don't buy loads and loads of oracle decks and tarot decks. I like to just keep a couple and just use the ones that I absolutely love, and then collect a couple like over the next couple of years. If I saw one that I absolutely loved, then I would get it, but I don't want to buy loads and loads now. I want to just have a small collection so that I can actually use all of them. So yes, I have my Rider-Waite tarot deck, and sometimes this is all you need. You just need a deck of the basic tarot cards, and you don't need to go and collect all of the other ones if you don't feel like you want to do that. But if you do, then that is also fine. You can have whatever kind of collection of magical items you want, but it's really important to make sure that you aren't spending loads and loads of money on magical items that you won't use in your practice. Like this selenite wand. I personally use this sometimes. I find it's really great for cleansing items, and it's nice to have like a non-traditional kind of wand. But there's loads of witchcraft items that I don't have. I don't have a traditional wand. I don't have like a big broom. I only have a mini broom, which I think that's all I need. Where is it? Look how cute this is! It's so cute. So yeah, I only have a small broom. I don't have a big one. I have a cauldron, but I don't actually use it, so I don't really need my cauldron, but I know one day I will use it, so I'm glad that I've got one. But if you don't think you're going to use a cauldron, then don't buy one. If you don't think you're going to use a chalice, then don't buy one. If you don't think that you're going to use an athame, don't buy one. What I highly recommend is if you are thinking of investing in one of these kinds of items but you don't use anything like it already, by testing it using something really, really similar. So like with a chalice, you could use a wine glass and see if in your rituals it is something that you really, really love to use. And if you use the replacement really, really often, then you can think, let's actually invest in a really, really nice chalice. So then you're not just buying everything that a Wiccan altar is supposed to be and then being like, I don't actually need all this stuff I spent a load of money on. Same with athame. As I posted on my community tab, I used to use a like a wooden knife that I got from the school canteen. It works perfectly. It's all about your energy, and often it helps to direct your energy through separate, like different items that you buy, and it can help you become more of a powerful witch because it helps you believe in yourself more. But you definitely do not need them to cast powerful spells. And in the olden days, all of our the witches who came before us, they didn't have They didn't have fancy tools. They just had whatever they had in their cupboards, and they just used whatever that they could find. And that is the most powerful magic, especially things that you find around your house that have kind of your energy in it already are so, so perfect for spell work, for ritual work, and they can be really, really useful. Next thing I want to talk about is something that I'm going to do a whole video about, but if you are a beginner witch and you want to buy some magical items, but by this video I've kind of scared you away from really buying any yet because you don't know what to buy, I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you want to buy your first magical tool, and yes, as I said, I will do a whole video about this, your first magical tool, I highly recommend you buy a simple deck of tarot cards, and having a daily practice of doing this is perfect. If you absolutely, absolutely have to have something, you really, really want to buy something to represent your witchcraft practice, buy a deck of simple tarot cards. And the other really simple witchy tool I am soon to make a whole video about. So yes, I highly recommend you subscribe if you're not already so that you don't miss out on that. But it is a very, very not talked about witchy tool that I've not heard anyone talk about, but it is the fundamental witchy tool that I think everybody should own. So yeah, knocked over my ring light, oh my god. So yes. But yes, what I'm saying with this video is to assess all of the items that you have already, see if you still need them, if they are still serving you, if they are important to your practice, or not, because you have the opportunity to sell them, to give them away. And also when you start to do this, it starts to help you think about your practice differently. So when you go and collect new things, you're not collecting loads of stuff that you don't need. And one final thing I will say is it is great if you use magical items that you find in your garden or on the beach or whilst you're walking through the forest, because they are biodegradable and they are natural. So if you don't want them anymore, you can just go and stick them outside and they won't do any damage to the environment. So they are extremely sustainable if you only take what you need. You take a really, really small amount. So like my rocks and everything, let's grab this one. This is extremely sustainable. I got this from a beach, and if I don't want it anymore, I can just put it out there. But be careful with herbs. Make sure that you dispose of them properly, especially if they're still alive, because you don't want to introduce any species that aren't native or do anything with that. But I'm not the person to advise about that. But be careful with plants and disposing of them. And also, if you are cutting wildflowers, make sure that you are actually allowed to do that. So yes, that is this video. I really hope you enjoyed listening all about minimalism. This video has been based off of my personal views, obviously, and all of the stuff I had in my head I didn't research for this video, so everything is based off those 2 documentaries that I watched and my experience as a witch. So yes, I hope that it was useful. But in this crazy consumerist society that we are turning into, with how awful it is with Temu, with all these really cheaply made products that are really, really dangerous, and are causing fires, are causing kids to have lead poisoning, we should definitely be really, really careful with what we purchase. And if you want to buy any witchcraft items, I highly recommend that you save up and really invest in the items so that you can buy them from amazing online or in-person witchy shops and support small businesses, support other witches creating items. I highly recommend not to purchase anything that you use for your practice on Temu, because I hate that company. I know that it is really difficult to afford witchy items, but you can find lots of witchy tools that you already need in your house or outside in nature where it's safe to take the items, because our beautiful planet really, really needs protecting. It needs our help, and especially as most of us watching this channel, I guess there's not random people who aren't witches watching this video, but I might be wrong, but as we all love the planet and we're all passionate about nature-aligned living, it is really, really important that we are doing our bit to try and protect this beautiful earth that we live on. So I really hope this video helped you think about your witchy tools differently. Really, really value everything that you have. Don't be sad that you have anything that might be unsustainable. Just really, really look after it if it's something that you really, really like, and really, really feel grateful for it. Like, don't feel guilty of anything you've done in the past, because now you can have a more sustainable practice because you've learned all of this stuff today. But if you have any views on environmentalism with sustainability and witchcraft and minimalism, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic, but it is very, very difficult one to think about, because it can be quite complicated when you start thinking about it, because we want to be really, really sustainable, but we also don't want to throw out what we've already got, and there's also stuff that we don't want, but we don't want to throw it away because we don't want it to go in landfill. So yeah, it is a difficult one, but I hope this video has been useful, and I will see you guys all soon for the next one. Bye!